on TBI Expert View, we are delighted to welcome a very special guest, Joanna Wang from Amazon Web Services. Joanna and our Chief Technology Officer, Dave Keating, will be discussing our partnership between TaxBack International and AWS and how it has led to the development of our end-to-end VAT compliance platform, Comply. Their conversation will cover how to build a scalable, secure technology platform that has completely transformed the world of VAT compliance. Over to Dave and Joanna.
Hello everybody, and you're very welcome to the next edition of the TBI Expert Series, where we'll be discussing all things tech. I'm David Keating, CTO with TaxBack International, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Joanna Wang, our AWS Key Account Manager. And we'll be having a chat about our technical journey and our relationship with AWS. So Joanna, you're very welcome joining us today on this series.
Thank you very much, Dave. Hello, everyone. This is Joanna Wang from AWS Ireland Account Manager team. And this is my great pleasure to have this opportunity to talk about the partnership with TBI during the innovative cloud journey. And hopefully we can share some best practice to the audience. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joanna. And maybe just as an intro, maybe to the listeners, we might start maybe the background and the journey that we've been on, TBI and AWS together, dating back to early 2016. If you want to maybe give a little background on that journey and your journey and the relationship with TBI.
Sure. So as far as I can remember, TBI started to use AWS back to November 2016 with a 12-month free trial, which is open to all new AWS customers. And during the last 5 years, I can see the cloud journey with TBI becomes phenomenal, from using only one AWS core services, which is compute, to database, data analytics, serverless, LLT, and many, many others. Especially this year, it has been a great pleasure for me to working with Dave as the CTO of the TBI. You bring a lot of innovative ideas to drive the IT initiatives and leading the new product roadmap, upgrading existing products, which accelerate the TBI business outcomes by leveraging us as a strategic partner. So Dave and your team is not really only just use the width and depth of our services, but also the great dynamic community and network globally. So we're really happy to see this senior leadership team is aligned and truly committed for the innovation and setting the clear direction, expectations to the rest of the organizations and lead to success. So I will just stop here and let Dave to expand more details of your ideas and experience based on what's the background of the TBI requirements.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Joanna. So I guess touching on our latest service, it's really one of innovation born during COVID, and it's no different to all the other great services that are defined and innovated, right? So it solves a problem, customer problems, and that specific problem of our latest service, again built within AWS, is the problem of global VAT and tax compliance, which is highly complex, and that's a problem that we're solving for customers. We have significant years of VAT experience, and we've applied that VAT knowledge to our latest solution. And I guess where the gel is nicely between TBI and our culture of innovation is that we can very quickly move from an idea to a proof of concept, through to customer validation, and then now through to a functioning SaaS platform that's solving, again, customers, VAT and tax issues. So that's for us is where there's a nice relationship and where there's a great fit for a company that's as innovative as ourselves, and how quickly we need to be agile, and AWS provides that platform for us.
Yeah, thanks very much, Dave. I really agree what you just said, because at AWS, we clearly understand if a startup, enterprise like TBI, or a government agency who is going to partner with infrastructure provider, it's typically a long-term decision you're making, and you really want to understand what's the unique about the company culture, the services and the support, and why it drives you to choose the partner. So this leads to my next question to you. Can you please let me know from TBI perspective, what drove the need for the creation of a global scalable platform?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joanna, and we've discussed this in the past, right? And it's, the beauty of problem solving is that once you have the solution identified, again, AWS facilitated us to be very agile in actually building it. We know from our customers that there's an enormous appetite for the services that we've built and the digitalization journey that we're on. And there's a significant need for that for a number of reasons. I mean, if you take a company with a parent company or 20 or 30 entities underneath that parent, and again, that company is trading in 20 to 30 countries and jurisdictions, that's an extremely complicated VAT and tax compliance piece that they need to address. And the legislation is constantly being updated, and we're very close to that, and we're ahead of that curve with our digitalization journey. So it made complete sense given the appetite, the type of loads that we need to facilitate for customers and the processing demands, that SaaS just made sense. We needed to build a global scalable platform because there was a need for it in industry. Customers needed them to be compliant with the ever evolving legislation in the area of VAT and tax. Digitalization is the journey that everybody has to go on to be compliant. It's not going to be possible with the old school of manual processing. It needs to be absolutely digitalization first as the approach moving forward.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. I can clearly remember how many problems you solved during the digitalization journey in the past, and also likewise in AWS. Same as TBI, we are unusually customer focused. I can share you some data. Like today, 90% of what we build is really driven by what customers tell us matters. And then the other 10% are the things we hear from customers that they may not calculate exactly what they want. But we try to read between the lines and invent on their behalf. I think one of the many examples we have between AWS and TBI is I clearly remember that when you and your team were doing a database project, and then you're about to using Paperfish, which actually was before general availability at that moment. But TBI was selected as a beta customer because you already have the strategic partnership with us. And then during the collaboration, yourself and your team provided us a lot of valuable feedback. So collaborate with our database SA specialist, as well as the product team. We work together, put this feedback to the products and update the product's features to meet your high satisfaction. I think this collaboration really well demonstrated the close partnership between our two companies working together for the innovation and bring the benefits to a global impact. Now, this leads to my next curiosity. So before AWS, what's the traditional problem would have existed for a company like TBI looking to build something on this scale?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess just before I touch on that, Joanne, I think it'd be worthwhile just on your previous point, just reinforcing that absolutely the relationship that we have with AWS and exposure to early releases of your services and your new services and your platforms is one of the key areas that allows us to be so innovative. Our blue sky thinking, our ability to very quickly drive proof of concepts through to SaaS products. That relationship is key, and that access to your services and that relationship is one of the key drivers in our success. So I'm absolutely more than happy to acknowledge that, and access to some of your non-GA products to get again ahead of the curve and seeing what functionality and service we can leverage to drive better customer solutions is one of the keys. And obviously success for TBI and Tax Back International is going to result in growth and success for AWS, right? So it's mutually beneficial for both of us to be working in this manner. So thank you for that. We do appreciate it. So moving on to your actual question around, pre-AWS, what would it look like from a problems perspective and how things would have worked. So, I've worked in pre-AWS life, whereby, if we wanted to build out a significant project, you'd have to identify your data center you want to work out of, look at the architecture and find out what physical DDoS appliance you're going to purchase, perimeter firewalls, load balancers, mid-tier firewalls, and there's all this physical kit you need to purchase, put in the data center, get it racked, send somebody on site, get it configured. And the reality is, yes, we still have to do an element of that within AWS, and we still need to have the core skills, but they're not the core skills that allow us to drive customer services, right? We want to focus our time and our energies and our resources on software development and digitalization projects. So it allows us to very much, fast track our ability to be agile in delivering these solutions. And I guess there's been a change from, having people on site and managing data centers and managing physical kit, to having the more managed service from AWS, where now we have, our CCOE. So for those of you who may not be currently in AWS, that's our Cloud Center of Excellence of skills that we've hired in-house, who manage our AWS platforms for us, make sure the architecture is a fit. And again, that's a relationship that we have with AWS, where again, as you mentioned, we do have touch points with AWS architects and our own architects to make sure that the journey that we're on and our own Cloud Center of Excellence team, that we're all moving in the right direction together.
Yeah, 100% true, Dave. I think the TBI really brings and demonstrates the expertise on the cloud journey, especially when you mentioned CCOE, and that is something really, really significant to bring the change to the IT infrastructure, which can leverage the cloud as an innovative piece. And in the AWS, we are seeing the same trend, like we're in the midst of a titanic shift to the cloud. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple of reasons I would like to add why companies like TBI are moving so quickly. The first is the cost. So with the cloud, you don't have to lay out the capital upfront to the services and data centers. And instead, you just need to get paid for what you consume as a variable expense. And then you just provision what you need. It turns out if you need less, you just give it back to us and stop paying for it. This variable expense is lower than what virtually every company can do on its own, because AWS has such large scale that we pass the benefit to the customers. So the cost is really very compelling, and always the conversation starts. But number one reason, as you also mentioned, the enterprise and the governments are moving to cloud, is the scalability, agility, and the speed with which they can change to the customer experience. If you look at most companies' on-premises infrastructure to get a server, typically it may take up to 10 to 12 weeks, sometimes even more. And you have to build all the surroundings infrastructure software like compute, storage, database, analytics, machine learning, etc. around that. But in AWS Cloud, you can just provision thousands of servers in minutes and access over 81 availability zones with 25 geographic regions around the world. This is really attractive. So I think TBI already started to leverage all this benefit, and I'm sure there's no doubt that with your future roadmap of the scalability, you will get more benefits of that. So absolutely. Yeah, and then for the long-term perspective, what are the goals of the TBI? So understand that I can think how we can support you better to achieve these goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, look, your previous point again is very apt, Joanna, from the purposes of scalability. So, for example, right now, just purely from a VAT perspective, there's a monthly VAT return required, but legislation is constantly changing and evolving, and that may change to more frequent returns, and that will change the load on our platform. And within AWS, we're able to be very agile there, and depending on the load and how the load is introduced, and were to become weekly rather than monthly, or if a different solution we generate on our digitalization journey was to imply load was going to be daily rather than weekly or monthly, we can change and evolve to match that. We can have the high availability and the scalability as necessary to fit our clients and our customers' needs. But our long-term goals, I guess it all ties into that, right? So what are we looking to do? Well, realistically, we are building out an ecosystem really focused around digitalization, around VAT and tax and compliance in those areas. And that will, those plethora of services will continue to grow, but it'll all be very much focused around digitalization. And we do feel we're somewhat ahead of the curve there, and we're very close to legislation and potential future legislation changes. So we're doing a lot of work in that area. We're doing a lot of work in the area of AI and machine learning. And again, I think there's some fantastic opportunities there, and there are services that we're again in further discussions with yourselves on key things that we can leverage again to provide more quality and services to our customers. Can't talk too much on that because, as you know, it's still work in progress and proof of concepts that we're working on. But yeah, more and more to come in the areas of AI and ML as well.
That's really great, Dave. Yeah, I think there's no doubt that the DNA of the innovation, reinvention for both companies really match very well. And it has been a proven success that continuously using our Amazon working backwards culture will be the very effective way to help TBI to achieve your goals. About the machine learning, yes, in the fullness of time, I would say virtually every application will be infused and with machine learning and AI. Most customers we are working at the moment, they're very, very interested in the machine learning, and tens of thousands of them are running machine learning on AWS. So I'm really looking forward to these new initiatives working with you together. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Great. That was a great chat and conversation, Joanna. Really enjoyed it. So thank you very much for your time and for joining us today on this TBI Expert Series.
Thanks, Dave. Same here. And a final small data I would like to touch during this chat today is actually we only see a very small percentage of Fortune 500 companies in the past still remain on the list today. In fact, only 10.4% of the Fortune 500 companies in 1955 have remained on the list through 2019. So for business to survive and thrive, they need to continuously reinvent themselves and bring the innovation to the customers, adapting to market disruption, customer demands, and competition. Again, we are really, really happy to see companies like TBI is looking to create a culture of innovation and bring the innovation piece to your digitalization journey. So thank you very much again. I really enjoyed the chat with you, Dave. I'm looking forward to our more collaboration. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Joanna. I think you hit on the two key takeaways for our listeners there around innovation and digitalization. I think they're synonymous with TBI and how we work. So thank you. So all the viewers, so thank you very much for taking the time to watch this episode of the TBI Expert Series. I hope you all found it worthwhile. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Contact details will be on screen now. Thank you.